All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's up, guys? Hebrewcheetah here. I'm going to be breaking down this 4-game slate on Saturday, December 30th. Let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. First game of the night, we have the New York Knicks taking on the Indiana Pacers, 247.5 over-under. Indy favored by 3. Big news in this one, the Knicks have traded away RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley for OG Anunoby this morning. I would assume that if Quentin Grimes plays, he got downgraded to questionable, but if he plays, I would assume that would put him in the starting lineup. If he's out, then I would also assume that probably adds Josh Hart to the starting lineup. I don't think that they would go with like a Deuce McBride type of play. I think that Josh Hart would make some sense, but that would with the Knicks trading away Barrett and Quickly, it's going to give more run for guys like Dante DiVincenzo for the time being, for this game at least. Give him a higher minutes floor. Should give Josh Hart a higher minutes floor. Maybe that gives Brunson a bigger minutes ceiling. He could get up to 40 minutes in this game possibly. But from a matchup standpoint, yeah, the Pacers still playing as one of the fastest teams in the league, second in pace in the season. They're dead last in interior defense right now, and they're first overall in three-pointers allowed per game. So we should have a pretty clear pathway of knowing how to attack this one. Yeah, just from a minute standpoint, this is a pretty good spot for Jalen Brunson. He's almost 9K now, though, which is pretty uncomfortable. But, I mean, I don't see them giving Deuce McBride a ton of minutes here. So we could, if Brunson gets up to 40, I think he could definitely pay off this price tag. He has a ton of upside. And matchup is just okay. He's going to be getting a lot of injured Nembhard on defense. He's a pretty solid defender. But Brunson has a team-leading 32% usage rate this season with Barrett and Quickly off the floor. So we know the ball is going to be in his hands a ton. I think that I slightly prefer – well, actually, I prefer Randall a lot to Brunson in this one. Going to be a much better spot for him with the Pacers being so bad in the interior defense. They're also second worst in DVP to power forwards. Randall's coming off a big game against Orlando, who's a pretty good interior defense. So I have no doubts that Randall could have a repeat performance here, and like the price tag, 8.7K. So he's probably my favorite play on the Knicks side. Hartenstein is going to continue to project well, but I don't think that this is a great spot for him. You know, the Pacers, while they are really bad with the interior defense, they've actually been pretty decent against opposing centers. So like in their DVP, they're like middle of the pack. We did see last game where we were all playing Andre Drummond. He kind of ran off the floor a little bit. So I think that is definitely in play for Hartenstein. He lost some minutes last game in a matchup versus the Magic, who have, you know, they're known for their size. You would think that Hartenstein would have been out there for 30 plus minutes, but he lost some run to Josh Hart. So I don't think that it's too crazy to think that could happen again here. But yeah, actually, I like this spot a little bit better for the value guys with Josh Hart, 5'2", going to see more minutes now, looking at a pretty solid positive projection in our projections. Dante DiVincenzo, it's a tougher matchup for him. Just he's going to be out there to play defense mostly and be launching from three, where Pacers are the best three-point defense. So don't love him. I think I would prefer Josh Hart. He has multiple ways to get there, been adding some more rebounds and assists to his stat line, so I prefer him. If Quentin Grimes plays, I think you could definitely go to him at 3.1K. You don't really need a ton to pay off that tag. He's very scoring dependent. He really is just extremely low usage and not going to add much to outside of a couple of three-pointers here and there. So, you know, matchup-wise is pretty bad for him, but 3.1K, you don't really need much. On the Pacers side, yeah, Tyrese Haliburton, after a slew of down games, he's pretty much back. Gotten 61 plus in 3 straight games, shooting the ball extremely efficiently over that span. Knicks, you know, the middle of the pack defense definitely gotten worse with no Mitchell Robinson, but they're getting beaten by 3-point shooters mostly. Their interior defense has held up pretty solidly. And Halliburton has taken 13 3-point attempts in 2 straight games. Obviously, the assist numbers are going to be there. Pace is going to be there. This is the best game environment on the slate, so I think he might be my favorite overall spin up on this slate. Miles Turner, he's always a fine option. He'll always come in low owned. Price tag's coming down now under 7K finally. Knicks did struggle last night with their rim defense, gave up 44 points to the Magic. So I think that if Hartenstein continues to lose minutes for the small ball lineup, I think that Miles Turner could be in a pretty good spot here. So I don't mind him as a low owned option. 6.8K. I like this spot here a lot though for Buddy Hield. Like just said, Knicks are getting beaten by 3-point shooters. Buddy's minutes floor has come up a ton with Bruce Brown being ruled out these past couple games. 4 straight games with at least 26 DK points, with 3 of those games going over 34. So that would be a pretty good value spot if you can get up to that number again here. Halliburton's doing a really good job finding his shooters. I think that, a little correlation with Halliburton and Buddy Hield makes a ton of sense. You could start your lineups with Halliburton, Hield, and Randall, and I think you'd be off to a good start for the night. I'm fine getting away with Andrew Nembhard, especially at ownership. Just he's not out there to take away usage from Tyrese Halliburton. He's going to shoot a couple threes, but he's mostly out there just for his defense, and he'll definitely play a ton of minutes tonight against Jalen Brunson. So I guess, from a minute standpoint, he could get there if he runs into a few steals and a couple 3-pointers, but I'm fine getting away from it. I would much rather prefer for 300 cheaper, different position, but Jalen Smith stepped to the starting lineup, been playing pretty well. Has some minutes for some upside too. Maybe if the Knicks go more small ball, maybe that gives Jalen Smith more minutes at the 5 and kind of takes down Miles Turner a little bit. But yeah, I like the spot here for him a lot at 4.9K. And I think that Bennett Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith could definitely make your player pool, but don't love playing them. Let's move over to the Philadelphia 76ers taking on Chicago Bulls. Low 224 over under. Chicago favored by 3. Low game total here, but I think the environment is a little bit better than the total would speak. Just both these teams are pretty condensed with their usage. Both these guys are going to be down a couple stars. We know the Sixers going to be without Joel Embiid, so it's another game for Maxey Harris and Melton to see usage bumps. Paul Reed's going to get the start again. The Bulls are down Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, so DeMar DeRozan and Kobe White are going to run the offense, and Andre Drummond will continue to get the start as well. But game environment-wise, the Bulls are dead last in pace in the year. The Sixers are 12th overall. Both these teams are pretty sound defensively, but they do have areas in their defense that can be exploited. Bulls are a huge three-point funnel, ranking bottom 4 in the league in 3-pointers allowed per game, whereas the Sixers are a rim funnel, bottom 8 in the category. And you just look back one game ago against the Rockets, they got torched inside, 62 rim points. So definitely some areas that we can exploit here. On the Sixers side, Tyrese Maxey had a good game versus Houston last time, which is kind of what we were looking for from him without Joel Embiid in the lineup. He went for 55.5 DK points in 41 minutes and should be looking at another huge workload here. 33% usage rate without Embiid on the court this season, and he averages around 46 DK points per 36. So he's going to see close to 40 minutes on a nightly basis, and I think there's a ton of upside for him. Just with this Bulls team being a big 3-point funnel, leads the team in assist percentage without Joel Embiid. This has been a really tough matchup for opposing point guards, going against a mixture of Alex Caruso, Ayo Dosunmu, 2+ on-ball defenders. The Bulls are first overall in DVP to opposing point guards. So there's a little bit of downside to him. Some merits of fading him if he's coming in with high ownership as well. But just throwing matchups aside, we did see Halliburton and Trae Young have big games against the same team, so it's not like Tyrese Maxey in arguably a better role could have a similar game. So I definitely like Maxey's spend-up option. Tobias Harris is going to run into Patrick Williams in defense, who's a pretty solid defender as well. But Tobias Harris's shot volume has been increasing since Embiid went down. Has taken no less than 18 shots in 4 straight games and scored no less than 37 DK points, with 3 of those games going over 47. So there's definitely upside to him even at 7.2K. I think I'm probably going to be going back to DeAnthony Melton here. Probably my favorite Sixer, just price adjusted. 6.5K is good for him. Had an awful game last time out. Just didn't see any usage against the Rockets. We know the Rockets are pretty solid defense, so it could have something to do with that, but just usage wasn't there. The minutes were there, but just didn't really get there. But this is a good matchup for 3-point shooters. Melton sees one of the biggest bumps in his fantasy scoring, averages 38 DK points per 36 with Embiid off of the floor, and sees a pretty big usage bump on his season average with Embiid out. So you definitely like Melton. Paul Reed's okay as the last man in. That's really all I'm looking to on the Sixers side, those main four guys. On the Bulls side, yeah, I mean, anytime DeMar DeRozan is getting ownership, I think you could just fade him. He's a fine cash game play, but 8.5K, never worth it for him. Just doesn't have the same upside as some of the other guys priced in that same range. I mean, small forward, power forward, you could go a couple hundred up and get to Julius Randle for a much better matchup and upside. Yeah, Andre Drummond, 8K, pretty. The price tag's definitely warranted. He had a 60 burger a couple games ago. We went right back to him against the Pacers last game. Lost some run due to foul trouble, but shouldn't have to worry about that here going against Paul Reed, who is not going to draw too many fouls. And on top of that, Sixers just getting beat inside without Joel Embiid, gave up 62 rim points, like I said earlier, against the Rockets. So I think that Drummond definitely has a huge matchup in this upside, looking at a pretty strong projection for us as well. Kobe White, his usage and efficiency has really come down a lot since he's been dealing with a little bit of a wrist injury, so I'm assuming it has something to do with that. Matchup is not all that good here. Going to see D'Anthony Melton on defense, so tougher spot for him. I'm okay getting away from him. And I think that Patrick Williams and Alex Caruso could definitely make the player pool as last man in type of plays. Next game, Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, 225 over under with Minnesota favored by 5. Should be a very competitive game. Should be a defensive battle. Wolves are the best overall defense in the league, and the Lakers are number 9 overall. Matchup-wise, the Wolves, there's no holes poking in their game. They're taking away rim scoring, taking away 3-point scoring. Transition defense has been good. So it's a tough matchup for everybody on the Lakers, but the Lakers, really good rim defense. Huge 3-point funnel, though. Lakers are second worst in 3-point defense on the year. On the Lakers side, Anthony Davis going to see Rudy Gobert on defense. Going to make life really tough for him, but I think that the upside case for AD is definitely there if he were to able to get Rudy Gobert into some foul trouble. AD has been playing much better offensively this year, and I'm seeing some big ownership on him right now. I don't think that he's going to come in at 44%. I could definitely see him come in closer to 20. I think at that point, it's a pretty interesting fade just with the matchup. But, I mean, he's been the focal point of the offense, and he could definitely get there. He's had historically some pretty good games against Rudy Gobert since Gobert has joined the Timberwolves. But I think there's definitely a ton of downside to him in this matchup. LeBron's going to see Jaden McDaniels on the defensive end, and he's one of the better wing/on-ball defenders in the league. I think LeBron's path to upside is his rebounding and assist numbers, which have been constantly hovering right around double digits. So I think that I would prefer LeBron to AD in this game. And I believe today is LeBron's birthday as well. So if you want to get into the birthday narrative, he just turned 39. So he's got that going for him. And on the Wolves side, love the spot for Anthony Edwards here at 9.2K. Cam Reddish is probable, which, he's a pretty solid on-ball defender, and it's just been lights out the past 7 games, scoring at least 25 real points in all 7 and no less than 43 DraftKings points, gotten up to 63 of those 7 games. And the Lakers have struggled all year defending opposing guards. Huge 3-point funnel. So I think there's a ton of upside for Anthony Edwards in this one, especially if Karl-Anthony Towns were to miss. I mean, regardless, Cat has been looking pretty limited, hasn't seen his normal 34-plus minutes in a couple games. So I think it's safe to say that he's limited right now, and Anthony Edwards is in a great spot. So I love this spot for him. If Cat were to play, not a good matchup for him. Going to see probably Vanderbilt on defense. Vanderbilt's a pretty solid defender, and Cat's looking pretty limited right now, so I'm fine getting away from him. Tough spot for Rudy Gobert going against AD. If he's able to stay out of foul trouble, he's shown some upside in the same game. Went for 44 in this game a few days ago. So he's got pretty big, always has the rebounding upside, got the blocks and steals upside. So I don't think that he's the craziest play at 7.4K. Same could be said for Mike Conley. He's been playing, just Mike Conley basketball have been pretty solid all year long. 5.7K. I think he's definitely got a little bit of upside there, and he'll see probably the weakest defender on the court while he's out there. So I don't mind him. I think Jaden McDaniels is interesting at 5K. He should be able to get there just from a pure minute standpoint. I could see him getting close to 40 minutes, going to be out there to defend LeBron. And if he can knock down some threes and maybe get a couple steals and blocks, I think that he could definitely pay off the 5K price tag. So I don't mind him at all. That'll do it for that game. Let's move over to the last game of the night. Dallas taking on the Golden State Warriors with a 242 over under. Golden State favored by 4. On the Mavericks side, it's pretty much just Luka or bust if he's in. Going to take away a ton of the upside off of the Tim Hardaway Jr.'s, Dante Exum. Hardy will be out of play. I don't think you even want to get to Grant Williams and below on the Mavericks side. I think that you could pair Luka with like a Derek Lively. They've shown a really good two-man game in the pick and roll, and the Warriors are a little bit worse versus centers on the year, so I don't think that he's craziest play. Derek Jones Jr. 5.3K would be in play as well. But yeah, if Luka's in, just takes a ton of upside off of a lot of these guys, and Luka's a pretty solid price tag, 11.7K, so I would not mind going to him. On the Warriors side, yeah, Steph 8.8K, definitely interesting when you're looking at it, but he's got a good projection. Just the upside has not been there this year. Kerr is just limiting a lot of the upside for a lot of these guys in terms of their minutes. He's not seeing, he's probably averaging around 33, 34 minutes a game this year. So, I mean, he could always get there. Definitely still has the upside that Steph Curry has shown in his career, but I'd be fine getting away from it at 8.8K. I'm much more interested in all of these secondary Warriors, especially Brandon Podziemski, 5.8K. He's been the only other guy outside of Curry to really see consistent minutes around 32, 34. And the Mavericks are bottom 4 DVP versus opposing shooting guards. So I think that he's probably my favorite overall play. Looking at little ownership right now and a pretty good projection for us. Well, actually, I'm seeing conflicting reports on his ownership, but regardless, I like him a lot. And his assist numbers are up. His rebounding totals are up. I think he's been getting close to a triple-double. I think he could start hitting that a couple times this year, really start to pay off this price tag. So I like him a lot. On paper, this is a pretty good matchup for Kuminga as well, with the Mavericks being a pretty bad interior defense and really bad in transition. So I think that we could attack them there. And I think Kuminga has shown upside at 5.2K. So I like him as well. Trace Jackson Davis, very interesting off the bench. 3 games out of his last 5, he's seen at least 26 minutes. And when he's gotten those minutes, he's gotten a double-double in all of those games. And in this game where it's going to be probably more up in pace, I could see him taking away some minutes from Kevon Looney. Looney does come into the game questionable with an illness. So if he were to miss, I would love THJ as a value option. Wiggins at 4.6K is kind of just staring at me. He's seeing solid minutes. I don't think that he's the worst play in the world. But, yeah, a ton of interest in Podziemski on the Warriors side. That's going to do it for the 4-gamer. I hope that everybody has a good weekend. Happy New Year's to everybody. Thanks for sticking around with us, showing all your support, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for our first NBA stream of the new year. Happy New Year's, everybody. Stay safe. I'll see you later.